Well, it was a late night on Friday, and it was back to work here on Saturday for Nebraska as they held two different events, a lineman camp here on Saturday morning through the afternoon, then a 7-on-7 tournament featuring close to 20 teams. But Sean Callahan, Nate Klaus, has first our thoughts on this lineman camp. And I think, Nate, as you break it down, this may have been kind of the surprise event for this staff. I think they went into it not knowing what to expect, but I think it's safe to say this lineman camp they ran on Saturday has the potential to be one of the better things they're going to do going forward.
Yeah, I really do. You had about 170 kids come out today. They're wearing half pads, so they're able to kind of get after it. In the past, with the lineman camps that they've had, at least the past 3 years or so, have all been just shirt and short camps, and there's only so much you can really do in those camps. So I like the competitive aspect of today's camp, and I think this is something that they're going to be able to build on, like you said, and maybe each year create more numbers, create more competition, better talent coming out. But today, from top to bottom, I was pretty impressed.
And speaking of competition, one of the more competitive guys at the camp was 2019 Nebraska outside linebacker commit Garrett Nelson. Really not a lineman, but he was at the Friday Night Lights camp. It was killing him. He couldn't do the camp last night. He was out here, though, today, Nate, taking part in the lineman event.
Yeah, it really was. And he was like a caged animal last night, not competing. He was just pacing back and forth. But today he was able to get after it. He was the first guy in line every rep, every station that he was at. And his motor is just nonstop. And like you said, he's not being recruited as a defensive lineman, but he just wanted to get out here today and get some work because he's going to be working as a defensive end for Scottsbluff this season. So he wants to be as best as he can be for his team. And he's an athletic kid. I mean, he's very explosive, that high motor. He's just a guy that is creating plays all the time when he's on the football field.
And, one of the surprise names, I think, to the Husker staff, a 2020 that came in from Kansas City, Kansas, probably an offer guy when it's all said and done.
2021, actually, Jaden Roberts out of Kansas City, St. Thomas Aquinas High School, 6'6", 320 pounds. I mean, the kid's got long arms. I think he could project as an inside guy or as an offensive tackle. I mean, this kid's potential is through the roof. He's just a baby. You could tell out on the field today. Had some success, had some times where he kind of struggled, but by and large, I mean, this is a kid who is a big-time football prospect. I think he's already on the radar of a lot of schools, and that's going to really continue here going forward.
And that was really, Nate, who the staff spent, besides obviously Garrett Nelson, that was the guy that I think a lot of the conversations on the side were going on with him.
Yeah, a lot of conversations with Jaden Roberts today, certainly. But you had some other guys, too. I think, Tristan Roberts, kid out of Blue Springs South, impressed me. You had Cal Franks, who's from California, that was at the Friday Night Lights camp last night, decided to work out again today. He came in for a junior day last spring. I had quite a few guys that Nebraska was paying close attention to today.
This is kind of, for Nebraska, this lineman event, this could be the start of something big. Talking to some Adidas officials last week on the road and then some Nebraska guys today, there's some real serious talk, Nate, about some sort of Adidas elite Nebraska lineman camp that they would like to get going next year. And hopefully today kind of lays some of that groundwork where next year, whatever they do, it could be a pretty special event here in Lincoln.
Yeah, I think it really could be. When you look at the history of Nebraska linemen, I think it makes a lot of sense to try and do something like that, capitalize on that history, and whatever you could do to kind of promote yourself and to get kids on campus, I think is a win-win for everybody.
We'll have more coverage throughout the camp here on HuskerOnline.com, as well as final thoughts from 7-on-7, then get you ready as well for next week's big final Friday Night Lights camp. For video producer Greg Peterson and Nate Klaus, I'm Sean Callahan for HuskerOnline.com.